So as a big fan of Janet Jackson, I was looking forward to the Janet Jackson documentary on Lifetime. They were advertising it as if it was going to be a very intimate documentary and answer the questions people always wanted to know about Janet, like if she really had a secret child with her first husband, and exactly how the Super Bowl incident happened, and why her costume was engineered to tear away like that. But after watching the documentary, I was left feeling like Janet really didn't go into much detail about the Super Bowl or much of anything else in her life. The most questionable events of her career were very much glossed over, and after reading the reviews of her documentary, I see that I'm not the only one who feels this way. Vogue has criticized the documentary for allowing Janet Jackson to steer the conversation to the topics she feels most comfortable with and to gloss over some of the more divisive subject matter. The New York Times accused the documentary of being a bait and switch, using the lure of access and intimacy, being that cameras followed her around for 5 years, as a tool of deflection. Janet frequently uses her friends, family, and colleagues to speak for her, according to The Guardian. The Guardian also points out Janet remains tight-lipped on the breakdown of her second marriage. It's longtime choreographer Tina Landon who discusses the struggles that led to its demise. And if y'all notice, Janet's third husband, Wissam Al-Mana, who she split up with in 2017, is never even mentioned. But the most anticipated moment in the documentary is the 2004 Super Bowl fiasco, which was promised to be explored in unprecedented depth. Regarding the halftime show, The Guardian points out, Janet Jackson has made it clear that the split-second wardrobe malfunction was an embarrassing accident. But in the eyes of the conservative U.S., it was premeditated filth inflicted on innocent audiences. The event overshadowed her legacy as one of the biggest pop stars of the 80s and 90s. I sat down with a few other Janet Jackson fans recently to get their take on how they felt the unfortunate wardrobe malfunction could have happened at the Super Bowl. Javon Jersey Goldson, who is a director, choreographer, and host and founder of Lotus Creations Academy of Performing Arts, shared his thoughts on the situation.
I do not think that she did that on purpose now. Being older, watching it back, just understanding how the culture works, understanding how TV works, and just kind of seeing even what they did to her after the fact, I'm like, yeah, why would she even want to sabotage her career? You know what I'm saying? Like, just even understanding what happened, the fines, everything that can go behind that. I don't see why Janet Jackson, being a Jackson, would need to do that to amplify her career.
Calvin Michaels, who a lot of you may know from his music documentaries here on YouTube, also gave his point of view.
So I remember when I first saw it, all my smoke went straight to Justin. I was like, what is he doing? But no, I always felt something was supposed to happen, but I never thought it was supposed to be to that extent. My theory was always that there was supposed to be something that went down, but before you could see anything, the lights would go down and the pyrotechnics would go up and the camera would pan out and it would kind of serve as maybe like an urban legend. Did she or didn't she? And that would be the suspense. It just didn't make sense to me that someone of Janet's caliber, especially during that time, would, she didn't have a need to do anything like that at that point in time. She was headlining the Super Bowl and they had been trying to get her for 3 years because she initially was invited to do it in 2002 and then again in 2003. So it wasn't like she was on a steep decline career-wise and needed a boost. So I didn't think it was something where she purposely was trying to expose herself and, piss off the world. I think something was supposed to happen, but I don't think it was supposed to be that.
Something was definitely supposed to happen. If you watch the Hulu documentary, Malfunction, The Undressing of Janet Jackson, then you know that Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake had planned to create a shocking moment at the Super Bowl, and they had even demonstrated it to the Super Bowl executives. Justin Timberlake was performing his song Rock Your Body, which ends with the lyrics, "But I have you naked" by the end of the song. And him and Janet had originally planned for Janet to wear a skirt that he would tear away at the end of the song. But the Super Bowl executives did not like that idea because they wanted the halftime show to be more family friendly. And in that documentary, they even say that one of the reasons Justin Timberlake was even added to Janet Jackson's performance was to make the halftime show less urban. That year, Nelly, Diddy, and Janet Jackson were performing, and Kid Rock was also performing. And they were concerned that Diddy and Nelly would be grabbing their crotches and being obscene, and they were worried that Kid Rock would disrespect the American flag. They say they weren't worried about Janet Jackson, but they wanted to add Justin to her performance to make the show less urban and more appealing to middle America. And the disparity in the way Janet Jackson was treated in the aftermath of the Super Bowl fiasco compared to how Justin Timberlake was treated definitely showed that Justin Timberlake's ability to appeal to middle America saved his career but tanked Janet's. A tearful apology to Moonves, Les Moonves, allowed him to attend, perform, and win a Grammy at the Grammys, while Janet Jackson remained banned in what was widely perceived as an attempt to throw Janet Jackson under the bus. Still, Janet is clearly willing to let bygones be bygones, describing her and Justin Timberlake as good friends and asking her fans to finally move on. Her fans might not be moving on, but it seems that Justin Timberlake is doing just that. Justin Timberlake is reportedly relieved he can be exonerated from public scorn, according to Hollywood Life. They say, honestly, Justin is relieved that Janet let everyone in on the truth about their friendship because he was tired of hearing about it and having to answer questions about it. It was so long ago, yet it's still something very painful for him, and he imagines for Janet too. But Justin has nothing but love and respect for Janet, and they have become close. Although Justin Timberlake didn't make an appearance in the documentary, his source shared with Hollywood Life that Janet has become like a sister to him, and that she knows he is always down to collaborate if she ever wishes to get into the studio together. She contacted him prior to revealing the update, and he was absolutely on board. He was glad to hear that she was addressing everything and hopefully put it to an end. The source went on to say, now that Janet has addressed her truth, and now that Britney is free, Justin is really looking forward to the moment where he can do new music, do new films, and when he is talking about his life, he can talk about the great things that are happening in it rather than harping on controversy. He is so relieved that people know he is friendly with Janet. It makes things so much easier for all the people who are talking about it negatively. He finally feels that he won't have to walk on broken glass anymore. You guys, leave me a comment and let me know what you think. What did you think about the Janet Jackson documentary? And what do you think about Justin Timberlake saying that he's relieved and moving on now that the truth has been revealed? Leave a comment and share your thoughts. As always, thanks for watching.